So today, the retard who I listed as a city worker who solicited me, um, I listed them on my Facebook wall or my YouTube wall. Um, well, he started calling me today, and somebody else that I had listed on that wall started calling me yesterday, so that I knew that it was like a hand-in-hand thing. Because I know that anybody that I list on there, that my haters and everybody else, the cops that hired them to solicit me to begin with, are just going to hit them up and be like, this bitch has you listed on YouTube as someone who solicited her as a prostitute or whatever. And so anyways, I was really hungry earlier, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just get a few bucks from this dude since he's hitting me up, since he's already knows that I put him on YouTube and he's gonna show up. I was like, fuck it. I was like, I'll go ahead and listen to what this guy has to say. Now I didn't respond to the other guy because I feel like he was more dangerous, and some of them I already know are very dangerous, but this person I didn't feel like I was in particular danger over. Uh, but anyways, and I was like, you know what? He only talked to me for a second the other day. He was a fucking piece of shit, but I was like, fuck it. Even though I know that I didn't jump the gun by listing him on YouTube, I'll go ahead and just humor this whole idea of giving somebody another chance. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck it, I'll let this dude just, you know what I mean? I'll humor him for a second, meet him for a second, and, see if I can gather a couple few bucks from him so that I could get this $3 meal from over here. So I was pretty hungry when I woke up. It was really messed up. I went and paid for like a couple more nights in this room, and then after that, I had 3 cents and a buffalo nickel. So I was like super hungry, and I was like, man, I wish that this one homeless kid was around here, because I used to be able to go asking for like a couple bucks at least. And at the same time that was going on, that dude was blowing me up. And I was like, I need a few bucks. I tried to sell him a googly saw whenever he got here. I knew he was, you know what I mean, somebody who was probably pissed off that that they were on YouTube, that I'd listed them on YouTube. He's one of the guys that thinks that they're gonna sue me. Was one of the traffickers to begin with, who's already part of this whole stupid little game that they're playing. Already part of the genocide, because the first thing that he did when he pulled up was like, oh, you're out here all by yourself getting money. Sure does suck that you don't have any cool friends to pay for your blah blah blah, to pay for your everything, to let you stay with them, guys, a God who will spoil you, and all this other dumb shit. Literally, the dude was going in the same fucking direction that I was going. I was walking with blisters on my feet to make it to where I needed to be, to do the work that I needed to do, to earn the money that I needed to make. And all that this dude did was just pull up and like be like, and act like it wouldn't be cool if you had somebody to help you out, you're just so beautiful, and all this other shit, and you know what I mean, hinting around about shit. And I had to be like, yeah, no, that's not what I'm into at all. I'm actually willing to work for it or even ask for it. I would rather work or ask for it than I would try to, you know what I mean, before I would try to steal for it, or you know what I mean, all the other ways that that people make money. You know what I mean? And it's not that I haven't done those things. It's not that I haven't been part of the crime world and stuff. I was never really involved with the hoe life thing. I never that wasn't the line of crime that I was introduced to and became good at, and had to, struggled to stop doing that. I've never actually learned like that. All that stuff that still remains a mystery to me a little bit. Like, I just that's a whole other line of ladies. You know what I mean? You can tell generally just looking at them. Not that I'm necessarily talking shit, because it's not like that. I ain't like got animosity towards the other chicks, you know? But yeah. So the dude, like, basically pushes his way in. He's like, I need to use the bathroom. And apparently he has some, like, bladder control issue at his age. And he couldn't stop anywhere on the way here. Maybe there's something wrong with him, or with his bathroom, or with all of the other restrooms on the way here. But he felt the need to just push his way into my hotel room, basically, to go pee, as he said, which I really don't let people in my hotel room, and I especially don't like guys to use my bathrooms at all. I don't want to share a bathroom with a man ever again. Ever. Like, I'm sorry, but the guys, to me, are atrocious when it comes to hygienic practices, and I really did not want to deal with them. I understand that I might have to here and there, or I subject myself to it here and there, but it's just horrific. It's horrendous to me. It's absolutely just... So anyways, yeah. So he came in, and then he looked around, and I told him exactly what the fuck was going on in the room. I told him that I'd just been given a whole bunch of clothes that I was taking pictures of to sell online. I'd just been given those clothes the day before, and that's why they were, like, I had some on the bed, and I had some over here, I had some over there, I had some stacked and folded and stuff. It was kind of like 2 big bags of clothes. And I'd already gone through some of them, and I'd already listed so many of them, and so I was kind of like, it was organized chaos in here for a second, which I know that guys are especially unfamiliar with, I guess, which I'm just kidding, sort of, about that, but anyways. So I told him what was going on, and then he went to the bathroom, do-de-do, and then he came back out, and after some bit of conversation, I had to explain that to him again. He seemed to not understand that part, and had already been making comments and shit, and I had to repeat myself, which I fucking hate to do, because these guys will sit and waste my entire life telling me their entire life story, but the moment that I open my mouth to tell them anything from the very beginning, they weren't actually paying any attention. I'm not sure when they actually start paying attention, you know what I mean? Like, I can sort of pick up when they start to pay attention, but sometimes it's not from the beginning of the conversation, which is quite irritating to me, especially after you are calling me and trying to come hang out, and then you're gonna push yourself into my hotel room to go pee because you apparently have some kind of bladder issue. You couldn't figure that out on your way here. You're just so excited to be here that you're gonna. Can I use your? And I should just been like, no, you know what I mean? But I guess that he thought that he was gonna come in and that he was gonna, like, see something in here and get dirt on me or whatever, or make his own special, I don't know, case against me or whatever. But he did he did apologize at some point for basically approaching me the way that he did in that way. And I was just like, yeah. And but he was like, so what's this tripod here for? Which I shouldn't have to explain. I should just be like, oh, photography, it's a fucking tripod. It's a tripod. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You know what I mean? I should have just told him fuck no as soon as he wanted to come in and been like, you can't go to the fucking store or whatever, because I really do hate when people try to encroach upon boundaries. When you see that kind of behavior, that's real childish, red flag behavior. It's an automatic, it's like oh, this person is a weird faker, there's something weird going on here, they have ulterior motives. It's encroaching on boundaries. It's kind of fucking annoying. But anyways. But I was like, I make crappy YouTube videos. You know what I mean? Which I already know that he knows that because he's already gotten on my channel and he's already watched some videos. And he thinks that he knows something about me because he tried to hurry up and binge watch some information about me on here. You know, read a little bit of stuff maybe. He probably didn't even make it to the community section where I've written basically a novel and posted supporting information along with the videos made by the government whistleblowers over the situation that I'm in. It's actually kind of a big deal, believe it or not. There's kind of a lot of people involved. It's kind of like a historic situation. It's going to be broadcast on the news. People are going to find out about, hopefully, darn near everything that happened, if that's even possible. Anyways, he's like, oh, what's your YouTube channel about? And I was like, well, it's about getting trafficked and having to deal with fucking traffickers and surviving a genocide and being trafficked by Elon Musk and the Freemasons, and having to deal with a bunch of bullshit, and losing my whole family to crime and worse. And he was all like, oh, that's, he was like, oh, fantasy and shit. And I was just like, no, actually, it's definitely not fantasy. It's very real. And he was all like, what I meant is that it was, fascinating. Oh, I meant that it was fascinating. Right. Okay, right. It was fascinating. Sure. Okay, well, that's fascinating, dude. I'm just fascinated at how fascinated you are. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great, yeah. I was like, hey, I'm pretty accustomed to people gaslighting me. I basically only meet traffickers out here, so I'm used to all of these men who've been part of a genocide against a gendercide. You know, that they are professional gaslighters. They're professional, treat me like you're crazy for calling them out. Oh, and the number one thing that they reach for is that you're crazy, especially when there are groups of people who are desperately trying to hook you up with someone or trying to send someone into your life to decide that you're mentally ill so that the people who were formerly receiving Social Security checks in your name can begin to receive those checks again. Yeah, it's something that's been going on for a very long time. he went on and on about how he works for the city, that he used to be a user, but that he doesn't do it anymore, and that that obviously hasn't changed any addiction to, the female or prostitution aspect of it, which means that you're not really recovered entirely. That's definitely an addiction. It's definitely part of addiction. That's part of the reason why I don't humor people in that way, why I don't take part, with people intimately in any way, because when I broke those addictions, I meant it. I wasn't playing. That's definitely part of addiction, of the life of addiction. And if you're going to entertain it, and if you're going to enable others, then you're just perpetuating a cycle of addiction. It's all the same. It's an even stronger and worse addiction than drugs, especially when mixed with drugs. That becomes the hardest addiction that there is for people to break. It takes a great deal of self-control and discipline to break those kinds of addictions. But it also just takes having a real heart and understanding that the best things in life aren't necessarily what happens after using hard drugs. You know what I mean? And some of that you think that you're going to remember later on, but some of it really just kind of gets lost in the sauce. It kind of, more than not, kind of just gets lost in there. And I really believe that the highest that you can really get is off of clarity and worship, but also, as far as the weed legal states go, I mean, weed will really fuck you up if you let it. You really don't have to do all that other shit. I mean, weed is pretty amazing. Like, psychedelics are pretty amazing. You don't have to do those little blue pills and those little lines and you're putting and stick it in your skin and all that. Like, you don't have to do any of that. You can just fucking smoke it over for. It doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it, really. But anyways, he was all like, he was all like asking me all kinds of questions, and he was all like, have you ever been diagnosed with mental illness and shit? I was like, no. You know what I mean? It was just the same old fucking shit. It was the same old fucking human trafficking shit. As I've basically said before, and I know that the new people wouldn't have caught it necessarily, even though I've got over 300 videos on here, and you would just get lost in there, I'm sure, trying to figure it out. But I was made aware of a human trafficking, a child trafficking ring, which I was being victimized by between the age of like 9 and 11 here in Amarillo, Texas. And the same method of a ring of people can be contacted and basically employed or dispatched wherever I go. These different trafficking rings and these different people who are affiliated and associated with this gang stalking and this genocide, gendercide, this human trafficking trash. And some of it is for Elon Musk and the Freemasons. And then some of it is supposed to be for the Pope, for some people, and the Jesuits, which is really weird. And then there's a few other groups that there's a lot of others, basically. It gets a little bit complicated. And then Elon Musk also sells live stream video access of his victims to all these different world leaders. And then all those different world leaders and politicians and celebrities and everybody, there's a whole bunch of different ones, and apparently they're able to basically be a part of these conference calls over different people as this surveillance is on them or through them, which can be done through the lens of an eye. That's one way that surveillance can be made, had, whatever. Anyways, yeah, happy 4th of July, you guys. I'm really tired, but I wanted to make a video anyways, because I just haven't been doing it during the day, I guess. Yeah, but anyways, there's just been this rush to, but almost every single one of these gang stalker, trafficker dudes who, talks to me, or and basically anybody that I meet along the way, it's just, one more person who they can get to say whatever, to pretend that they're a witness to something or whatever. And that's something that a couple of the YouTube whistleblowers have discussed as well, is that they've been desperately they act like they were desperately trying to, or they say that they were desperately trying to get me to hook up with someone, so that they could get that person to say that I was unwell in different ways, so that they could get me locked up or whatever. But when so many people have done so many terrible things to, one person or to a group of people, they're not necessarily going to want to let them all off the hook, even if they're victims of extreme hate crimes and slavery, lifelong slavery, and things like that, because it still means that there's a lot of people who are going to get in trouble for what they did, and people just don't want to have to actually face the music. A lot of these people have never been told no before. They've never gotten in trouble for a thing in their whole lives. It's be like the complete opposite of the lavish and respectable lives that they've been allowed to just live with, as the most respectable people, the most esteemed people all over the world. And and we've got all these traffickers and all these circles of traffickers who want to show up, and after finding out that they just basically got busted for soliciting someone as a prostitute on the fucking street or whatever, which they were sent to do. That wasn't an accident. People don't just pull up to complete strangers, women, on the streets and just decide that they're fucking prostitutes. That the dude would at least have to fucking talk to her for a second. You know what I mean? Hey, you know what I mean? You can't find out whether or not that's a fucking school kid walking home. You can't find out whether or not that person's fucking disabled. You can't find it. You can't actually speak to that person. You can't look at that person and discern whether or not there's somebody who fucking runs the streets like that. Like you. it's like being approached by, it would be like, what can I compare this to? It would be like if the cops thought that you were a drug dealer and they suddenly just started sending everyone to ask you if you had shit. And you're like, no, you know what I mean? Everybody just came up to you all day long. 2 or 3 people one day, 5 or 7 people the next day, 3 and 4 people the next day, 4 and 5 people the next day, 1 person the next day. You know what I mean? And then it just, just carries on like that over and over and over. You know what I mean? Could you imagine just everybody just randomly walking up to you and asking you, hey man, can I buy one of your guns? And you having to be like, what? Bro, I don't have any guns for sale, dude. Like, who told you that? Like, where did you hear that? And then the next day, like, 10 people are in passing, like, hey, got any guns for sale? Like, what? No. Why do you guys keep asking me if I have guns for sale? Like, this is, that's bizarre. Hey, you got any babies for sale? Hey! Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any explosives or human bones, would you? Like, why does everyone keep asking me for bones? Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? It would be bizarre if people came up to you and were asking you for something that you didn't ever fucking have for sale to begin with. That's fucking bizarre as fuck. All of a sudden, overnight, people started asking me if I could please give them this thing that I suddenly had for sale like, who decided that this was for sale? Like, it's really weird that you guys are, why are there so many people asking to come buy this? It's really weird how many people are trying to buy this one thing that I wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't something that I was trying to prescribe, you know what I mean? It wasn't something that I, like, put a little price tag on, or I never posted any escort services or, anything like that. So it's really weird that everyone would suddenly, for like years now, as you've had me in the human Hunger Games, or human hunting games, or Hunger Games, or whatever the fuck, that throughout all of that, you're sending fake informants, real informants, and a real fake sting operation that is actually just attempted sex trafficking and exploitation, and real exploitation. So, even if I don't get it on with anybody, they're still exploiting me, so it's still a form of sex trafficking. And they're exploiting me in multiple different ways simultaneously, and multiple different governments are okay with that. And they're supportive of it, and even the feds and military protect the people involved in that, and the government resources are all at their disposal, and it's all ready and prepared for them, and they're able to liquidate anyone and their assets to use for their war on whoever they want, apparently, as long as they've got Elon Musk paying for it all. Then they can just do as much fucking meth and cocaine and fucking fuck prostitutes and fucking gamble and fucking snort fuck cocaine off of each other's balls and all that shit. That's what, you know what I mean? Because that's what they've been into. That's why they can't come off of the fucking child trafficking ring or the human trafficking ring or anything. So yeah, my feet are almost healed. These other fucking weirdos lured me to their home the other day. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you the end of that one guy, the solicitor guy. I don't even know what the fuck his name is, because he was like standing here. He's like, okay, I'm like a real. It's like I'm like a real person, and I have like a Harley, and I have a truck, and I have this car, and I have a truck too, and the truck's in the shop. And this other place messed my truck up, and so this other place is fixing it and billing the other place. But I could show you my house, and my Harley, and my truck. And like trying to tell me that, that he was a real person, and that he could show me those things, and that would prove it. And you would never, you can't prove to me anything. I have to discern that for myself. You're not going to be able to tell me who you are. Trust me, I'll figure it out real quick. Yeah, I mean, I might really want you to be good, even if you're bad, but I'll know that you're bad pretty much right off the bat. And I'm probably not going to tell you, because you already fucking know. And I'm not really trying to be a part of everybody's life lessons and shit like that. I'm not trying to be the reason why people get caught up in shit. But if you're going to be pulling over, soliciting me in any facet or fashion or in any way, that shit's fucking irritating. Because I know that you were sent. And people have been being sent to me right here in Amarillo, Texas. People have been sent to me in Amarillo since I was a little kid. And I waited for something to happen. I looked around and saw other people. I see other people getting busted for the same shit that these motherfuckers are getting away with, who are bullying me and have me fucking trapped. I know somebody who's in prison right now and has fucking 20 years extra added to their shit because they were carrying a fucking driver's license. Somebody else's driver's license or somebody else's ID. Could have even been expired. Could have been a dead person. I don't fucking know. But they get an extra 20 years for that. While I have like some doppelganger or several different doppelgangers or a twin or somebody like that who the government is allowing to use my identity, and she uses my ID and everything, my social security number and all that, more than one person apparently, and I don't know if I have more than one identity or not, which is another weird factor. But just trying to incorporate more about my situation as I go, as I'm explaining this stuff, because I kind of want people to know, and if it is anything close to what anybody else is going through, on the real, not the fake. Anyway, I just want to incorporate as much information as possible. But anyways, so he was like, trying to be like, oh, you don't trust people, do you? And I'm like, why is this dude asking me if I trust people? I'm like, no, I don't. I would never trust anybody. That's retarded. You know what I mean? There's no law that requires me to trust anyone. That's stupid. I might trust some people with some things, but I won't trust them with those things all the time. And there's no rule that says that I have to. I'm not interested. I tried that other times before in my life, and even though the people who I was interacting with or dating were human traffickers and trash like that, I feel like, so they used my identity in a fake marriage too, and they had her married to somebody, I guess, running around. I guess they had me married to my kid's dad and a couple other people. I have no idea. Anyways, I'm not going to try to get into all that part, but... And really, I was really hungry, and it was already like 2 o'clock, and I really didn't want to fucking listen to his life story. I really just didn't want to listen to any of that shit. I really didn't give a fuck about it. I just wanted to fucking eat. And if he wanted to talk to me after I ate, that would be cool. Like, I literally just needed fucking $3. And I felt, like, kind of shitty about that, but on the same hand, like, I'm fucking, I don't know. I was just like, I need $3. But yeah, so he was like, standing there, even though I didn't want him to be in my fucking room. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't invite him in. He, like I said, kind of pushed through to use my bathroom, which I wouldn't want for a guy to use my bathroom. If I wanted to be sharing a bathroom with a dude, I would be bunked up with some other dude, or in a house or apartment with some dude or whatever. Which, even if I do have to do for a little while here and there, it's only just out of fucking survival, and it's because there's a guest bed or a guest area of some kind, or guest room or whatever. Because I'm not really interested in the couch surfing and all that shit. It's like, I might show up to a place just on the fly that's randomly that I might have to, you know, that it's set up that they try to make me do that or have to go through that or whatever, but I'm just not really interested in anything like that. So unless somebody's gonna present me with a kind of guest bedroom kind of situation, then I don't really give a fuck. I'll just keep fucking making the money for this or for whatever else until it's time for me to go or whatever. But yeah, he was kind of rude and condescending and said dumb shit, and then he kind of talked down about the term gaslighting, which was probably not, you know what I mean, it's definitely like a narcissistic move. And he just kind of acted like I was selfish for not wanting to ride with him back to his crib to see how he lived with his Harley or whatever, and that I was somehow being selfish by like not really being trying to chill and stuff like that, you know? Just being like, bro, I'm just like I ain't even trying to chill. Like, I'm trying to just get something to eat, like, for real. Like, wasn't really trying to deal, and see, here's somebody who's like, oh, what, you're not trying to chill, but in the very few minutes that I gave him to chill with me in this room, which he had to steal, that was time that he had to steal, which he shouldn't have been in here. He should have got the fuck out of the room right after he pissed. You know what I mean? So that was the one red flag, is that this dude just used this as an excuse to come in this room when, you know, I really don't want dudes in my room. I really don't want anybody in my room. But I definitely don't need dudes coming into my room and making it look like any type of way or whatever, because that's something that they can do as well, is have one of them dudes be like, oh, she has all these dudes. Or, you know what I mean, one of their whoever be like, oh, well, she has all these dudes coming in and out of the room all the time, you know, and, you know, here people even know that I have this rule where I don't really let people in here. People definitely don't stay the night in here, and if I do stay the night in a room, they're gonna have a double bed. There's been plenty of people in this hotel and in other hotels around me who have offered for me to stay in their houses and in their hotel rooms, but they don't have the extra bed set up, and so I just keep going out and making the money for this room and shit. But which honestly, I have hardly anything, so it's not really difficult to keep clean, to keep anything clean and stuff, and I just basically I only have like a few things, so I was just like doing my laundry by hand and stuff. But I just got all this other stuff, so that's kind of cool. But I separated the little bit out that, I separated what out that I could, and I tried a whole bunch of stuff on, and I wanted it to fit, but it kind of doesn't fit. So that kind of sucks, but on the same hand, I can sell it, so that's cool. But yeah, and I think that on the way of us checking out, he had to have them do his veterans discount or something like that, and I think it was like $11. He got like a couple Red Bulls, and then I got whatever I got. You know what I mean? My little $3 thing, which is actually exactly $3. And like he acted like that was too much for him, and then he had to have him do like some this discount shit or whatever. And then like he took me back, and as he was dropping me off, he was just like, okay, bye-bye, and shit. He was like super retarded. Like they had the guy in Illinois be. That's how they had him, this other dude act. Carl from Illinois. That's the guy who bought my Greyhound ticket. Carl. And they had him like pull up and be like, okay, bye-bye. And shit, whenever he dropped me off. Well, that's what they had this dude do. That's what this dude did the exact same thing. He pulled a Carl. But he's just so rude, being like, oh, that's he's like, oh, fantasy and shit like that. Like, oh, yeah, look, oh, she's talking about being human trafficked, and I'm a human trafficker. Oh, this is fantasy. Oh, gaslighting. Oh, I hate the phrase gaslighting. Oh, I hate that term. Yeah, what a terrible term. Gaslighting. You wouldn't want people to have phrases to describe how you're being victimized, or the methods that you're using to, the tactics that you're using to destroy their lives. And then he way overstepped his boundaries, not just by being in my room, but by asking me if I had any mental health diagnosis. And then he went on to pretend that he had mental health diagnosis, but that he had to take medicine or something. He keeps a handle on it, or some fucking shit like that. I don't know what the fuck he says. It was some fucking shit like that. Just like Carl tried to pretend that he went to a homeless shelter once, and that it was okay if I went to a homeless shelter because he went to a homeless shelter, which I fucking very seriously doubt. Okay, yeah, and these other people lured me to their house the other day. Like, this dude, like, he pretended that he was working. He's got like a truck, this big white truck, and like this trailer that he pulls behind, and it's got all of this wood, all this timber on it, from when he did some kind of tree job, and the leaves still look green, but apparently he just leaves that trailer with all that on it like every day, and as I was walking, he'd situated himself to where he was on one of the side streets, and it looked like he was getting done working or packing up or whatever, whenever I walked up and asked him if I could, if he had any jobs even in his house, like, working on the yard, even if it was for $5 or $10, And he was like, oh yeah, well, you can walk over to, this place that's fucking 20 blocks away, or, whatever, halfway across fucking town, or whatever. And, my wife will be there, and we'll, we'll let her decide, or whatever. Well, so I ended up walking, even though my feet were blistered, which I mentioned in a YouTube video. but people watch my YouTube videos and see what I say on Facebook, and they try to, like, um, basically do things to mock what I say as their attacks against me. I think that makes sense. So they, of course, had to incorporate that into their attacks, the whole blisters on your feet thing. So they're like, okay, let's set it up. Since she's looking for work, let's set it up to where when she's got these blisters and she already walked across town, now let's set it up to where somebody meets her and tells her to walk even further unnecessarily when she could just get in the car with him, when she could just get in the truck with him. You know what I mean? Or, you know, he could call his wife and be like, look, I'm just gonna fucking bring her with me, you know? I don't know. Or, I mean, if she trusted him enough to invite a chick over to clean the house or the yard or anything like that, you would think that it would also be okay that she was allowed in the truck. Anyways, I walked the fuck across town anyways, and I didn't care because I needed the money. And I did, you know, a pretty good bit of work. The sun went down, and they had this nasty still water in their backyard, and the mosquitoes came out and ate me up, and it was the first time all summer that I got ate up by mosquitoes. And I thought that maybe that could be some kind of fucked up setup, especially because she stayed inside the whole time, and then he wasn't outside either. He just like dipped in and out once in a while. And then whenever I was done, they couldn't give me a ride back to my hotel either, which was okay, it's whatever. And I sat there and talked to him for a while, you know what I mean? And he was also leaving at the same time, which I felt he was trying to make it seem like that there was something going on there, but there was not. And he told me to come back the next day at noon, and then the next day whenever I showed up at noon, some fucking crackhead came out at the back gate, and he was like, oh, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I'm supposed to show up here at noon, and I was just waiting until it turned noon, because it was still a few minutes until. And then as soon as I rang the door camera, they were like, oh, we're out to eat. We went out to eat. Oh, well, I'll have to get a hold of you. I'll call you later or whatever. He was just a dumbass. The dude was like a complete dumbass. He acted like he was all straight edge and shit whenever I first met him. But then whenever I got to his house, I realized they were just fucking like meth dealers or something like that. But anyways, I got $25 or something like that of what I needed, or $25 or $30 that I needed from that place. And then I showed up the very next day, and they acted like they weren't there. And so they basically had me walk there, and then back to the hotel, and then back to their house, and then to wherever after that. But they basically had me walk to their house unnecessarily a second time after having to walk there the first time, which was okay because I really needed the work, but I felt that the only reason why I was asked to walk out of my way unnecessarily the second time was because of the video that I made about the blisters, and that was just like, you know, one of the fucked up dark ways that people have decided to have me attacked. They're like, oh, we invite her somewhere, and then don't pay her, and don't have her do any work at all. Just because she has blisters on her feet really bad. That's a way that we could have her attacked and have her hurt. And, you know, that's a way that, you know, we could, you know, inflict torture and pain and stuff like that. And then, we did that thing, you know, and, you know, we did it. So, you know, that was a dumb thing that this one couple did or whatever. And I can't remember what their names were, but they were fucking fucked up, dumb as hell. I sent them, I think I might have even sent them my YouTube thing. But anyways, it's weird for me to go door to door, or to approach people and ask them for help, or to ask them to create work for me, knowing that they might think that I'm a drug addict. But for nearly every person who I end up, interacting with, or cleaning for, or cleaning with, or doing anything with, for all of them, for nearly all of them, to be a part of, the meth world, the dope game, or whatever, that all ties into that same circle of human trafficking. That's part of the reason why I don't support meth. Because everyone is ultimately paying money to human trafficking, into prostitution, because that's what it really perpetuates. Prostitution would definitely not be the same without the meth game. But yeah, all these people's houses and properties are basically completely trashed, and the real estate around here is completely devastated because of the insane amount of partying and meth use, and the speed abuse, and the men turn into the hookers, and the hookers stealing, and just everything just getting destroyed along the way, and the maintenance not being done regularly, and just houses and cars and all the appliances and just everything people own just falling apart, just like demons, just fucking, you know what I mean? And people just, everything being trashed, and just being trashed for a long time, and, the leftovers of animals being really poorly cared for in their last days, or in the last days of, whenever that place had its heyday, or whatever. It's in its youth, or in its peak, or whatever. Like, it's pretty serious. You can even smell it outside of the houses, or right up on their porches. There's some porches that I walk up to that just the smell of it alone, I've been like, no, and I've just had to just turn away and walk away, and just be like, no, ain't no way, I ain't there ain't. It's really irritating to me that so many people go out of their way to act like they're straight, and then as soon as I'm basically in their homes or around them, they're showing me this other side of themselves, which is that they're into all of that, whenever I make it clear everywhere that I go that I'm not into that, and that I don't want to be around that, and I don't let those people into my life at all. I get it. I've lived that life before, but I really don't want those people to be, if people are in active drug use, I really don't want to be a part of their lives. It's just not. There's plenty of people who are a part of that world. There's plenty of people out there who like to get fucked up. There's plenty of people, places in Amarillo, Texas to go to get fucked up and to meet people and that sort of thing. There's plenty of ways to connect. I am not the only female around here. I'm not the only female anywhere that I go. It shouldn't rock the world or make or break anybody one way or the other, whether or not they were able to hook up with me. So it's really, really bizarre the lengths that people will go to try to get me to sleep with them for money, when they don't even try to figure out what my middle name is, when my birthday is, nothing like that. I mean, and I realize that, that's just how it is sometimes, but is that how it is for every single person, every single day? I mean, could you imagine if 5 or 10 dudes were coming up to you every single day, offering you money to get it on with them, or to do favors for them? I mean, you don't think that would be strange if all of a sudden, just all of a sudden, your whole life, just all of a sudden, all these dudes, everywhere that you went, started to try to get you to sleep with them for cash. And that's all that anybody, like, no one would connect with you in any way personally at all. They all just treated you like you were a prostitute, and that's all that you were, and that went on for like 4 or 5 years. That's what I'm going through. They'll occasionally set somebody up to kind of pretend that they like me or whatever, and they pay them to do what's called switch up. So basically, everybody that I meet along the way, anybody who acts like they're friendly, or that we're going to get along, or that they like me, those are people who are paid to switch up. And they'll act like they like me, or act like that they want to team up with me, or, you know, whatever, I mean, pal up, pair up, or whatever. They're going to help out and shit like that. And they'll kind of act like that for a couple few days, and then I'll bust them as some kind of like horrific lie, or some kind of like whatever serious fucking shit, you know what I mean? But generally they switch up on me first, which is part of the thing. But I generally catch people up really quickly, much more quickly than I admit, because I let people be dumbasses and do their thing or whatever, and I don't want people to panic, because if they panic, they're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be, you know, associated with all these human traffickers and murderers, and I could do 25 to life over fucking teaming up with these people to go against this girl. Then they start panicking and do shit like, you know, show up and try to buy me some fucking taquitos or whatever, and act like that they're a good guy because they fucking drive a Harley and they've got a couple dogs that they care about. You know what I mean? That's really great. That's real great, dude. That's real great that you got all them things. I'm not even allowed to carry my own fucking driver's license, so it's really cool to hear about all the things that you have, and that's why you're a trustworthy dude. Because you work for the city and you've got stuff. Okay, yeah, and then I met somebody else who made the comment to me, hey, have you ever seen people run around with those trailer loads full of stuff, pretending that they're doing work, because they're just trying to, like, lure people in to, like, interact with them and hire them, or, you know, ask for work or whatever. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's what happened to me a night or two ago, you know what I mean? Yeah, actually, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's that. I know that I just gave meth addiction a whiplash a second ago, and I just want everybody to know that I understand it. And I'm not trying to trip out or anything, but they do mix a lot of stuff into that now that makes it to where it's really hard for you guys to quit. And, like, it's just not worth doing. It messes up your stomach. You have to, like, restart another 6 weeks of recovery every time that you do it. And it actually takes a supernatural 13 months to fully recover or whatever, which you might not ever fully recover. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. I dealt with a fucking pig basically playing in my face earlier, and then I dealt with a couple that were kind of weird with the backyard that they didn't really let me finish or whatever, that was like totally full of stuff. And you know what, they might not have been able to afford to give me very much more than they did, because it seemed like that it was like, you know, the money would be tight in their situation. But, you know, there's a lot of people that like to pretend that they are better off than they really are, and they like to spend money and spend it, just throw it around lavishly and act like they can really live beyond their means, and they just can't. And then they'll go through these dry spells and these drought spells where they'll put their partners and everyone under their wing through these spells of going without what they need, and to put them through these weird bouts of stress, while secretly they have everything they need, and they would never go through those bouts of stress without. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a messed up thing. And that's part of like the torture routine and the gender side. Which is why that's why a lot of people are upset about prostitution in a different way that I'm upset about it, in the way that they don't want women to have the liberty of being a prostitute, because prostitution is a step up from where they want the women to reside, which is at a slavery level, where they make nothing and they receive nothing for any of their, you know what I mean, time on the, they think that they should just, I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. But anyways, I'm really tired, and good night.